Oh, hey, sorry guys. I just got out of the shower because I went to see Infinity War and it was a friggin' mess. I'm just kidding. It wasn't actually that much of a mess, at least as much as I thought it would be. Uh, yeah, I'll just get into it. Infinity War is a movie about a bunch of superheroes who call themselves the Avengers and about what happens when they try to take down this big evil guy named Thanos who wants to collect all these Infinity Stones to basically take down everything. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not really that much of a superhero guy. I have nothing against them, it's not really my type of movie. That being said, I wasn't that excited, at least not as much as Marvel fans, about this movie. At the same time, I couldn't deny that this was going to be a huge movie, and a very exciting one, being that it's basically every superhero coming together. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. There was something to be excited about. My point is, I had basically no expectations going into this, and I ended up coming out really enjoying it. The main thing I, and probably most people, wanted out of this was a fun time. With a runtime of 2 hours and 40 minutes, as someone who doesn't typically enjoy longer movies, I was really hoping that I would be entertained. I won't lie, there were a few spots here and there that left me kind of dozing off and whatnot, but for every moment that felt kind of dull, they came back with another moment that was completely unexpected that left me just what? All of the action scenes felt very exciting, very well paced. They seemed to hit every single beat with them. At this point in Marvel's career, you would think they would have it down with their action scenes, and it definitely shows in this movie. At one point I was like, some of these punches and moves that these characters are throwing around would be considered like the final smash of most movies, but in this one there was so much happening left and right that they all just blended in, and I couldn't keep track. That's how jam-packed these action sequences were. What I was most concerned with going into this movie was how much I would come away understanding. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not that big of a Marvel fan. I've only seen all of the solo Iron Man movies, both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Civil War, and Black Panther. That being said, I was kind of afraid that maybe because I hadn't seen the other Avengers movies, maybe I wouldn't understand what was happening. And while yes, there were some Easter eggs that I didn't really understand and the rest of the theater was laughing at, I assume they were in older movies, I still understood what was happening. I still understood the plot. When I went to see Civil War, I had a pretty tough time understanding what was happening. Maybe I was just being dumb that day, but it felt like Marvel was assuming too much with what I knew. They weren't going into it trying to get a new fan out of the movie. They were just going into it being like, oh, let's try and make this epic for all the diehard fans. And I was really expecting them to do that with this one, but instead they did the complete opposite. It didn't feel like Marvel in autopilot mode. It felt like they truly had a challenge with balancing all these characters, so they really put all their effort into it. Prior to this, I really didn't care about the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything like that. I still don't consider myself a diehard fan, it's still not my type of movie, but at least I care. Infinity War grabbed my attention and left me excited for more. So that being said, I can't really say this film didn't accomplish what it hoped to accomplish. Now, as for the technical stuff, there wasn't anything necessarily mind-blowing about any of the cinematography or CGI. There were some cool shots here and there that I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. But for the most part, they played it pretty safe. In terms of the CGI, it felt very rushed and not believable in a lot of scenes. This was a similar issue I had with Black Panther, which is kind of concerning to me. I'm not sure why Marvel is rushing their CGI now, considering they have more money than ever, they have more eyes watching them than ever, yeah, but okay. Now as for the performances, they were pretty good. Again, nothing necessarily swept me off my feet. Drax was easily the funniest character in the film. I basically felt how I was supposed to feel with each character. And yes, there were a ton of small things that I could break apart, but what do I look like? YourMovieSucks.org? I would say my main complaint is that this movie didn't really say anything. I walked away from it very entertained, and I understand that as a Marvel movie and as a big blockbuster movie, that was kind of basically its only goal. But I felt like if there was ever a time for Marvel to say something, if there was ever a moment for them to actually have an impact, it was this film. This was clearly their biggest thing yet, so this was maybe the time they could have, maybe given us something. But instead, I kind of just left the theater going, oh, I can't wait to see the next movie. But aside from that, this movie definitely surprised me in a really good way. Let's see, I'm going to give Infinity War a 4 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, see a need, fill a need, and I'll see you guys in the next one.